It's March 26th, 2015. So, as I was saying, I was at the Bechtolds, and they were talking about how funny it was that they were going to make me sound like I was a real. Then they were saying bitch, and if they were saying witch, I didn't catch that part, because what I remember is like they wanted me to sound like a really mean, horrible person. But they were saying that this was part of my job at the same time, so I was kind of like skeptical as a kid, and at the same time wondering, like, maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel type of a thing, like, is this going to ever lead somewhere? So I didn't really know. I had no idea why they were doing the things they were doing, and why I was learning what I was learning. No one gave me the big picture on everything at all, and I was made to learn so many different things that I wasn't really sure. I mean, I thought some of it was fun. Some of the stuff that I had to learn was fun. And other things I was really skeptical about, like, why are they making me learn all this stuff? And so, so then it was like a couple of years went by, but then they would test me every now and then. So every now and then someone would test me, like they'd say a couple of trigger words, or make comments about something slightly sexual, just to see if I reacted in the same way, and if I still would come up with the same mean, kind of bitchy comment or order, or have the same tendency that they had programmed me and tortured me to have. And so, my dog just wants to get into all kinds of things here. So, you know, they would, as I was saying, they would test this out, just like they tested all their other forms of programming, to make sure that I had received the had been tortured hard enough and long enough to have some of this stuff stick. Okay, so then fast forward to when I'm a preteen, and that's when they began to implement some of this stuff against me. And so, you know, I was getting raped all of a sudden, you know, getting raped, and had all these horrible things being done to me. And then they were forcing me over to Colombia, as I said, after a couple of gang rapes. And, like, for example, some of it was just seemed to be sheer jealousy, because the group of men that raped me by saying, popping off the tops of caps of bottles, they were saying things like, here, hats off to you, caps off, let me take my cap off for you. And they're making fun of me, saying no man should want to respect you, that he would take his hat off for you. So they were saying caps off for you, and then they would rape me. And sometimes they had a woman. One guy said to this one woman who was standing around, she said something like, he said something like, "Do we need rubbers?" And she was saying, "No, it's not necessary." And the other thing about these people is they were calling. Sometimes they were. I talked about the milk for blowjobs situation, where they were forcing me to do blowjobs just to have milk from my bottle when I was a kid. Well, they were also sometimes calling condoms bottle caps. So basically, they were referring to their penis as a bottle, and the cap was the condom. And why some of them were calling it bottle caps, I'm not sure, but maybe it was just like code, or trying to disguise what was really going on for some of them. So, okay, now off. So anyway, then I'm over in Colombia, and I was older, you know, I was a preteen, and, you know, kind of looking, of course, looking like, you know, I should be more responsible, or understand consequences of things a little more. And then I was with all of these same people. Nanette, stay out of there. Nanette, get out of there. And then this group of individuals was telling me, oh, in this at this U.S. Army base in Colombia, I think this happened before they raped me, before they started raping me, like one after the other, and making a bunch of videotapes about me. It was possibly after, but I think it was before. And I remember Carol Middleton being there. If it wasn't Carol Middleton, it was maybe Melinda Gates. But it looked like Carol Middleton, and I thought it was Carol Middleton. And Gary was involved, Gary Goldsmith. So I think that it was Carol Middleton. But I think also that Melinda Gates she was there. And I don't know if she was one of the persons. I don't think she was. But she was there in some way. And then Janet Bechtold was there, my mom, or one of the Dixies, and basically this army group, they started telling me to, forcing me and telling me to act like, Nanette, get out of there, act like I was a madam again. And so they'd started telling me what they wanted me to do. And then even though I was older and it sounded horrible, and it should have sounded more alarming to me at that age, I didn't remember what they had done to me all the time that I was a kid, a younger kid, and how they had reinforced my responses to everything they told me to do. So they were telling me, okay, now I want you to match up, so-and-so with so-and-so. And so here I was matching up my mom to be sexually servicing some guy, and then they were videotaping all of this. So it made it look like I was just on my own, humiliating and degrading all of these women, including Janet Bechtold. And they really focused on Janet, and they wanted me to just really go after her and about her boobs and everything. And I mean, she had huge boobs. So they were wanting me to go on, and what they had trained me to do is to keep talking about how she had these enormous boobs, and trying to find a match for her, and telling her how to expose them, and how she needed to prop them up and have them going out. And all of that, all of those ideas were things that they had made me do at their houses. And but here I was making all these comments and everything like it was all my idea. And meanwhile, you should have seen Janet. Okay, I mean, she seems sort of just like easygoing, take life as it comes, like kind of laughing, not too much to worry about, maybe worry a little bit here and there, and be concerned and empathetic, but, not a big deal. Well, she can be a really good actress. And she was playing the victim like you wouldn't believe. I mean, she looked scared and terrified of me, and like she was about to cry, and really vulnerable, like I was this evil kid who was given power for 1 minute, and look at what horrible, mean, depraved things I was doing to poor Janet Bechtold. And what I couldn't believe is actually I started to get suspicious at that point, even though I was supposed to do all this stuff that they told me to do. When I saw how strangely Janet was acting, something like a red flag kind of went off to me, because I started thinking, this is really weird. How come she's acting like she's a suffering victim, like the martyr, when they had me in their... I mean, suddenly I was starting to remember some of the things from when I was younger. And I was like, wait a second. She had me in her kitchen, and they were forcing me to say all these things, and now she's acting like she's terrified. And it was getting videotaped. And so I started to get this bad feeling about it. I started to think, this is feeling like I'm getting set up again, like I'm being framed, and I suddenly started to realize they're trying to make me look bad, like I'm a horrible person, and like I'm like sexually exploiting and dishonoring all these women. And I thought at the time, and they are doing this because of what they've done to me, and they're trying to make excuses for themselves. And I think maybe one or two of the women possibly really was a victim, but definitely wasn't Janet. I mean, give me a break. So here I was looking like, you know, this terrible, terrible person. You know, like the type of person who's going after, you know, Robin's mother. You know, like all these boys want to fight for their mamas, and you know, look at what horrible Cameo is doing to Janet, and the entire thing was a setup. I mean, these people are unbelievable, and here they were not only planning that out ahead of time. They were involved in trafficking my music too, like my songs. It was a lot of it was about my songwriting. They were making lots of money off of it, and so I was telling all these different women, you did this and you did that, and then criticizing Janet the way that they had told me to, about her boobs and how to prop them up, and going on like harassing her. It's not like I was totally sexually harassing her and degrading her and wanting men to just be pawing at her and raping her or something. And then Marianne McIntosh was standing there, so I was trying to order Marianne McIntosh. I said so, and I started ordering Marianne McIntosh, and then she looked at me and got really mean and hard and hard nosed and faced, and she looked at me and she goes, "No." And she was like, and I remember it hurt my feelings. Like, why would it hurt my feelings to have Marianne McIntosh telling me no when I'm ordering her around? Well, it hurt my feelings because she was part of this whole idea of me carrying on this whole role and act, and she was basically standing there saying no, like invalidating everything that they were telling me that I had to do, which I was trying to do to the best of my ability. And then here she was looking down on me after I was doing a pretty good job of being the bitch that they wanted me to be. So she's acting like she was Mrs. High and Mighty, and like she wasn't going to bow down to me and my orders. And no, you know, like, okay, now we got you, because they had all these videotapes going and everything, and I just thought, and at that point I realized at some point that was all a setup. And then the next thing I knew, I mean, I think it was that after that I was getting raped over there. Then they had all of these different men that I had told to rape, these other not rape, but sometimes I think I called it rape, maybe. Like I don't know if I always knew the difference between the word have sex and rape. But I was telling them all, the ones that I was telling to go after the adult women, they had them all going after me, and had some Colombian men, and a bunch of U.S. soldiers too. And then they were all saying that they had diplomatic immunity. And so Alvaro Pardo was part of this whole thing. And what I had been told is, you know, someday if that one of these situations happens and Alvaro's involved, you'll know that someone's trying to help you, and it's Middleton's. It's like supposed to be Mike Middleton. And but I remember at the time that they were saying that to me, it was like different men saying this, and they were smiling and saying, yeah, that it was going to be some kind of an effort to get me out of a bad situation. Well, they were all smirking. Like I had a bad feeling about it even back then. I was like, if this is really something good that they're trying to do for me, then how come it feels like another setup? Like they just want to make me think that they're trying to do something good in the future, but really it's something to really to ruin my life over. And I forgot about it, and I didn't think about it when I met Alvaro and when everything happened with him, because I didn't recognize him because it had been decades since I'd seen him, but Marianne McIntosh knew him. She's a personal friend of his. And she's the woman who worked for the Attorney General and kidnapped my son Oliver from me, saying that I'm the crazy person. You know, these people are crazy. But I'm just accidentally moved my hand and got the edge of this computer. But, you know, what I was going to do is motion towards myself. I'm supposedly the crazy person. And they're doing these horrible things to kids. And then they kidnap my kids. And for what purpose? You know, look at what they've done to me. And basically, they all feel very self-satisfied about it. They feel very self-satisfied about what they've done to me. They think that they've done good work. And they made a lot of money. And they made a lot of money for the United States. They don't care if they broke every rule in the book, or if they use national interest claims for greed and for hate crime and anti-competition and anti-enterprise. I mean, like blocking my freedom of expression and free enterprise. They really don't care. They don't care that they enacted a whole slavery system using me. All they care about is that every single one of them is doing just fine. They are, with or without their pubic hair manicured neatly. They are all in professional jobs, working for the government, still undercover or not. And every single one of them has kept their own kids. You know, they're all keeping their kids. But they're depriving me the right of raising my child and my children. So this is, and, you know, and then they tried to entrap me with more of their employees later. So Alvaro was one of them, Chris Dabney's another, and then there were some others as well, which I'll mention. Brian Haynes' dad also was there. So the Haynes family was also involved. And possibly, I guess, their U.S. Army, maybe that's the branch he was with. I'm not sure, but they were over there in Colombia, which is something that I forgot until I was thinking about this Colombia thing that happened. And he is somebody that the Bechtolds know. So this whole group of people that were raping me, that are all interconnected, they've also been the same individuals who've been responsible for kidnapping my babies from me.